Hi, thanks for joining me again for another short and simple recipe from my first cookbook. I can't think of anything that I enjoy more in the morning than a toasty, crusty lemon scone served with jam and butter, maybe with a hot cup of coffee or tea. It's one of my favorite scone recipes. So let's get started. First, let's get started with the blackberry jam, because it needs to cook and set for maybe about a half an hour. You'll need 1 tablespoon of butter, 3 cups of frozen blackberries, a 1/4 cup of sugar, a half a teaspoon of lemon zest, a half a teaspoon of lemon juice, a dash of nutmeg, and 1 teaspoon of pectin. Now on to the scones. You'll need 2 cups of flour, 4 teaspoons of baking powder, a half a teaspoon of salt, 4 tablespoons of sugar, 6 tablespoons of cold butter, 1 egg, 1 teaspoon of lemon zest, and 1 teaspoon of lemon juice. First, to get started with our lemon scones, we're going to start making the jam first. But if you don't have time, feel free to go out to the store and pick out your most favorite jam. So I'm adding 1 tablespoon of butter. Let's get that melted. After the butter has melted, we're going to add our 3 cups of blackberries, our 1/4 cup of sugar. I'm mixing this all together, stirring it up. When you heat it up and add sugar to any berries, it will pull the water out. It's up to your own personal taste, your family's personal taste. I don't mind the seeds in my jam. Now that the water has come out of the berries, I'm going to go ahead and add the lemon zest and the lemon juice and a dash of nutmeg. You don't want it too much because nutmeg can be overpowering, but just a dash. The berries have come to a rolling boil. Now I'm going to add my 1 teaspoon of pectin. It's really important that after you add your pectin to get it dissolved and incorporated throughout all of the blackberries, and just let it boil for about a couple of minutes. I think this is done. I'm going to turn off the heat, set it aside. Now that we've got the jam setting up, let's get to the scones. First, preheat your oven to 400 degrees. One of the things that I have learned, especially with baking, is to start off with very cold butter. So I'm going to take this butter, put it in the freezer for maybe about 5-10 minutes. Now I'm going to start with adding all of my dry ingredients and mix them up in a bowl. So this is 2 cups of flour, 4 teaspoons of baking powder, a half a teaspoon of salt, and 4 tablespoons of sugar. So we'll mix all the dry ingredients together. Now that all the dry ingredients are mixed together, I'm going to get out the butter from the freezer. Kind of chop it up into big chunks. So the important process right here is to make sure that your fat solids, which is the butter, is well incorporated into your flour. Kind of like beach sand. This is a little bit of a workout. Now to me this looks very much like beach sand. I have 1 egg that's slightly beaten. I'm going to add that to my 3/4 cup of cream. I'm going to mix it together. So I'm going to add the cream and the egg, slightly mix it in there. And you don't want to overdo it. And the last thing you want to do now is to add the lemon zest and the lemon juice. It's just, to me, there's just nothing like lemons. So let's add our flour to our cutting board. One more thing that you don't want to do is overwork your dough with your hands, because you've got the frozen butter in there. And by working the dough, that causes heat, and you don't want that butter to be too soft or melt. Oh yeah, this is nice. I think that's about enough. Start with flouring the rolling pin. You roll it out to about 3/4, and I think, see, it's not much to it. Now that I'm finished rolling out the scone dough, the next step I'm going to do is spray my pan. Next, I'm going to cut up the dough into the 8 scones that I want to make. First, I'm going to cut down the middle. Then I'm going to cut these in half. So now I'm going to cut my 4 pieces in half. Now we're going to move our scones into our prepared baking pan. Brushing a little bit of cream on the scones will also put a nice little shine on top. I'm just going to sprinkle a little bit of sugar, not too much. My scones are ready. My oven is already preheated, so let's get baking. Well, the scones have been baking for about 20 minutes. They're a nice golden brown. Well, I've got my scones plated, they're ready to serve, and of course, before I give it to anybody else, I've got to have a taste. Break it in half. I'm going to put a little bit of butter on it, and definitely some of the blackberry jam. I'm loving these scones, and I know you will too. So I'll see you next time for another recipe.